and their home is basically is for most Americans, that's their real wealth, is handed down to their children so that they begin to build wealth from what their parents did.
That's right.
You take away that part of the process, you have literally destroyed the American system.
And that's what's made our country wealthy. That's what's made our country what it is the individuals, the individual people having individual rights.
Yeah. It's funny. I've been an advocate of private property rights my whole life. But just a couple of years ago, I had the privilege to meet a gentleman named Hernando de Soto. He is a world-renowned economist from Peru. And he wrote a book, Why The Mysteries of Capital was the name of it, Why Capital Works in the West and Nowhere Else. And in the first 2 pages of this book, I was sitting there going, I didn't know that. What he said was, this is what we just said, the reason the United States is different, the reason we have the wealth we do, the reason that we have the standard of living we do, is because we are one of the only nations on earth that allows private property ownership. And
That's right.
all the other nations on earth have some kind of control that keeps people from outright owning their property, and they're not able to build wealth from that. They're not able to get equity loans to start businesses. So, they have no means to build wealth on their own. They are complete pawns of the government. Right.
See, America has individual rights. Other countries don't have that. And that's why we're hated so much around the world, is because, Tom, of the freedoms that we have here in America. The freedoms to make our own decisions.
And that's why our founding fathers wrote it like they did in the Constitution Bill of Rights, because they come out from under the tyranny of Europe.
Right. Okay, she wants to make a comment. It said there's a place that's being built, and it's been being built for the past 3 years in Waterloo, New York. That was a scary place to us in the beginning, with a sign as it was being built, Senior Citizens Complex. It is... it's no sign of people moving in, not to mention it looks just like a giant prison. 2 huge buildings built side by side look just like the picture, Francis, that you have been showing for the past 2 days. So please don't give up bringing the truth so that people will hopefully turn back to Jesus Christ. And it says the local churches are so tied up into this. Yes, and we'll discuss that more on the other side of the break. We're going to be right back with Tom DeWeese, and we'll take our call from Freddie in Georgia that's watching on Comcast. We're going to Freddie in Georgia. Freddie, welcome to Sun Life Broadcasting. You have a question for Tom DeWeese?
Yes, I do. I have a question, also a comment, Ashford.
Sure.
I got on the internet one day here a few weeks ago. It came about where it read something about China buying General Electric out. And I was just wondering if that was true. In 1970, I had a dream. And in that dream, there was a Chinese leader and an American general standing side by side at a bonfire, and they was making everyone that owned the Bible put the Bible in the fire. And I'm beginning to believe that's going to come to pass. More I hear about China. That's my question and comment. Thank you.
To be honest with you, I don't know whether that is true or not. Whether China's buying.
I do know that China is trying to buy up some of the gas companies here in the United States.
They are most definitely doing things like that. I haven't heard specifically General Electric.
Right. I don't know either.
I wouldn't put it past General Electric to sell to them, but don't know that specifically.
Right. Okay, it said, I get our local paper just to see how far down we have fallen by reading the letters to the editor. Today, there's one entitled, For the Right Cause, I'd Pay Higher Taxes. They state that as a right thing to start with an interdependent community whose members take care of each other. Later on, they refer to the Community Sustainability Action Plan and Better Building Programs, and it has so much to offer, including green jobs. The writer was a consultant with the Community Sustainability Council. This is scary.
There you go. That's exactly what we're talking about.
That's exactly right.
The attitude. One thing that I want to make sure everyone understands with sustainable development, it has one purpose, and that is redistribution of the wealth, first of all. Second of all, everything connected with sustainability will cost you more money, and it will cause you more sacrifice. Those are the sustainabilists, they dance a jig over the idea of higher gasoline prices, higher energy prices. They will say openly that this is behavior modification to get people to make the decisions correctly. I heard this out of Obama. I've heard it out of members of Congress saying that we need to raise taxes or deliberately regulate this or that in order to get people to do the right thing. Not because it had to be done that way, because we wanted to get them to do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what sustainable development is. It is control of your life. It is more money. It is more shortages. It is more sacrifice. And in a free society, a government official should never tell American people that they've got to suffer through a little more sacrifice so we can the whole community can move forward together in a great big kumbaya group hug here. It doesn't exist. Utopia doesn't exist, and especially not utopia created by government.
Exactly. All right, Tom, let me read this. It said, is the reverse mortgage a subtle land grab? I was offered $16,000 cash and no payments at 2% interest, and that amounts to purchasing my home for $40,000. It might sound like a good deal to some, but I think it's a government plan to get our suburban property, and I didn't take them up on it.
Good for him. I don't, again, as we had a similar question a little while ago, whether these things are directly connected. And actually, the more your listeners are asking this question, the more I'm starting to think about it. I haven't focused on that, and there certainly is there's something there. There's some verification there. So I'm going to start looking at that a little more closely. Mm-hmm. But anything that gets people off their land, and if you understand the smart growth ideal here, where there is no sprawl or develop, I want to use their terms, where there's no development outside of the line that they create, works in their favor for what they're trying to do. So, there's definitely something there.
Okay. Tom, this one, I want to read it. It said, I work for a major electric company, and everything that's being said is not the complete picture about smart metering. The case with a woman in New York is probably that her electric bill was up and it should have been disconnected for non-payment. And this is a way with smart metering to give limited service in the winter for a customer who can't or won't pay their bills. But that's not what the lady said, David. David's the one writing this email. That's not what she said. Different states will have different regulations. Smart metering is also used on a voluntary basis for a discounted electric rate if people want to have heat scaled back at peak generating times. I'm all about the truth getting out to people, but I want it to be accurate. I think what's being said here today has been very accurate. And you know what I would suggest, David? You work for this electrical company, that you look at materials and read and study up on this. That is exactly smart metering. That's what it says. That's the way they sell people to get it in their house.
But it may be that way now. But what's it going to evolve into as we move on?
That's exactly.
There has been, I don't think, a single sustainable development program that hasn't been sold as purely voluntary, right. And it ends up not being. What I do know is in the state of California, they are implementing these smart meters without permission. They are just doing it. There's nothing voluntary about it. And the reports I'm getting from across the country are people are not able to use their electricity as they decide. It is being decided for them, and that is enough for me to understand what it's about.
Right. One more quick question before I go to Margie in Florida. I allowed our electrical company to come in and chalk around my windows and doors, and without asking or telling me, they fixed my light sockets to where I could use nothing except energy-saving bulbs. And in my dining room, I have a 1-floor lamp that had a 3-way bulb that proved to be enough light. But now it's dark in there. The doors are hard to lock, and one wouldn't lock at all, so they came back and fixed it. Is this what you all are talking about?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. This is some sort of a bureaucrat, whether he's government or he's with the electric company, has come in and made decisions for you. You allowed him into your house, and then he took advantage of it. And that is an absolute violation of your property rights to do that. But this is what they're doing. And when they come in and do these energy audits, if the local government has ordered that these be done, that's exactly what will happen in your homes. And you begin to get the picture of why this costs money. Like I was talking about, the amount of money for each homeowner. This is not private property. It's not freedom. This is government control.
I'm an elderly person. I live in an apartment building in Minnesota. I've lived there for 11 years, and now for the first time, I am being billed by a company in California for water and garbage. Neither one is metered, but is prorated. I live in a 2-bedroom apartment by myself, so I am paying more than 2 people in a 1-bedroom apartment. Could this be considered part of what they're doing? Notice that she lived there and didn't have to pay for water and garbage. I suppose it was part of her rent.
Yeah, usually that's how that works, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Again, this is control of resources. This is a major tenet of sustainable development, is control resources. Is that thing you read earlier, their definition, is that the whole idea of sustainable development is that we are to preserve the resources of today for the generations of tomorrow. When does tomorrow's generation get determined here? Who are they? Are they our children, or are they 40 generations down? We're locking away our resources. We have no shortage of natural resources in this country, but we're locking them away and making us dependent on other nations, or using less. And there's no scientific basis for it. There's no reason for it other than this what they call harmonizing the United States with other nations of the world, of a world economy, which is designed literally to redistribute our wealth and to diminish the power and the independence of the United States. And you're seeing it there. You say, well, that's a broad statement, but how does that happen? Exactly like this. A lady living in a 2-bedroom apartment who is being billed, who has to pay more than the other guy, being punished for having a little more space than the other guy. That's how it operates. And
that's exactly right. That's it. Right there. Margie in Florida, welcome to Sun Life Broadcasting.
Thank you, Francis, for taking my call. I have a question for Tom. Tom, are you familiar with the Georgia Guidestones and how they relate to a lot of the Agenda 21 agendas, basically, especially about reducing the population by 80 to 90%?
Yeah, I am familiar. In fact, I actually did an article on it several years ago. These things mysteriously showed up. There's no record as to who built them, where it came from. Very mysterious, apparently, about who acquired the property. And then it does everything I'm talking about here. It does lay it out on there, the entire agenda. Yeah, population control and this whole agenda. So yeah, it's very mysterious. Nobody knows where they came from.
And then, can you explain how transhumanism is kind of related to all this too?
No, I can't, but it's...
Okay, well, basically, it's an anti-human attitude. It's kind of like what you saw in the movie Avatar. Yeah. That kind of thing, It's like, it's so anti-human, but yet the humans are putting these rules and regulations out. It's like they're kicking themselves. It totally bothers my mind.
I'll tell you what, I hadn't heard that term before. Yeah, anti-human, absolutely. The environmentalists, I've got quote after quote from these guys saying what they really would like to do is come back, in another life as a killer disease, so that they could wipe out, people. Jacques Cousteau said that we need to wipe out 350,000 people a day in order to have a population the Earth can sustain. On and on and on. They absolutely do hate human beings. Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Margie. Let's go to Linda, North Carolina, watching on Dish. Linda, you have a question for Tom DeWeese?
Well, I have more of a comment. I wanted to share this with you. I have a nephew